This is the Books and Music Review Show. This is the Books and Music Review Show. And today we're talking about a very important topic. First, what they asked me to do, corporate says, put this disclaimer on. The opinions and views expressed of this program do not reflect those of the management or staff of Staten Island Community Television. So the rest of the show, and everything's copyrighted by Linda Perry. Our guests today are Myrna Haskell, am I saying that right? And Nancy Berger.
That's great.
But right now, one of the most important shows we're doing this year, and it's about sanctuary. Where's your sanctuary? Just a personal opinion, this is my opinion that I've learned from experience, that most healing and all healing begins once you find your sanctuary. And by sanctuary, I'm not really talking about a religious place, I'm talking about your own space. That's just my opinion. But we're gonna have them tell you their opinion and what they think about it. Where's your sanctuary? Do you have a sanctuary? What does a sanctuary look like? And what exactly happens in a sanctuary? So I'll turn it over to Myrna, and then we'll turn it over to our next guest, Nancy.
Well, it's nice that you asked us about where's your sanctuary, because of course Sanctuary Magazine is all about the women who visit us and who are our readers, and we have some male readers as well, that they find their sanctuary just by being in our space, because we're about empowering and inspiring women to be their best selves. And so a large part of our content is the arts, women in the arts who use their arts to inspire, beautiful artwork, dancers, musicians, photography, we include it all. And we also have a large piece is about women leaders in their communities, business leaders, nonprofit founders, who inspire those in their community through the work that they do and through helping others, either in the local or global communities. And then another piece to finding sanctuary is to feel healthy and to feel like your best self physically. So another part of what we do is to talk to women about their health, their spiritual health, their mental health, their physical health, nutrition, personal safety, which is another important part to women feeling secure in their community.
So Myrna, how long have you been doing this?
We just had our second anniversary in May of this year, and we've been growing rapidly. We've gotten a really good response from those who read our issues. We have a new issue that comes out each month. Some of them are theme related. This month we have a focus on youth issues, so we're all about helping out young women, aspiring artists and business leaders who are already making a difference and already making a mark on their own. And they're young, they're in high school and college or just after college, so that's our current issue, is a focus on youth. But it does the same thing. It's still about the arts, inspiration, empowering women to be who they want to be and to make a difference in their communities.
Well, you know what? I think I read part of that issue. I'm not sure. The one focusing on youth. I saw a story about a young lady who had, the term slipped my mind.
Alopecia?
Yes, alopecia, thank you. So where she was losing her hair. And I saw her story that I thought it was fabulous. And it was especially fabulous because to bring that to the surface, to let everybody hear it, to make it public. You know, like now we're hearing a lot, especially in Staten Island and in other parts of New York City and New York State. We're hearing a lot about bullying. And part of the story was a little bit about bullying, how she overcame that. I thought that was an excellent story. So yeah, I highly recommend this magazine. Highly recommend it.
Thank you for saying
I've
that.
read a few other stories, and I like the story that I read, or did I read part of it? There was one about a lady soldier. I don't know if you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember her name.
Major Jazz Booth.
Yeah, do you remember any of that story? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Myrna, do you know? Yeah, I interviewed her. She actually has been a U.S. military veteran for years, and she founded Final Salute, which is a nonprofit that helps women veterans who become homeless. She helps the women and their children find safe housing, get back on their feet, get prepared for job interviews, write resumes, because what she found was her personal story is that she had several tragedies that happened one after the next. The first was that she lost her home in Hurricane Katrina. And then very shortly after that, she was diagnosed with an aggressive cancer. And she was unable to deploy to Afghanistan. And since she was unable to deploy, she had to go through all of her medical testing and everything, all the doctor's appointments, and to try to get herself better. That's what she was concentrating on. She found herself homeless because between the medical bills and not having her original home where she lost everything, she was let go from the military and sent to the VA, and the VA did not have suitable housing for her and her young child.
So what was she doing in the military? What was she?
She was in combat, wasn't she?
She was, yeah. She actually, the deployment that she was supposed to have right before Hurricane Katrina, she was going to be in a leadership role for a combat team. Yeah. Yes. And so she was just shocked to find herself in a position after serving her country for well over a decade that the VA wasn't there to help her in terms of finding temporary housing in the situation she was in. And it was because it was geared mostly toward male military and not being equipped for women and children. And so her particular foundation, Final Salute, Inc., specifically focuses on women veterans who find themselves homeless due to various different types of situations. And she's helped now hundreds and hundreds of women and their young children. She's very, very dedicated to the cause.
That's pretty fabulous because, and it's something that we don't know about. And the reason I say we don't know about it is, like, I am a reader. Now, I'm what you call an obsessed reader. Like, if a paper's flying down the street and it's got words on it, I got to stop and read it. One of the reasons I got into television was community television had been around for, 10 or 20 years when I first started. And I didn't know about it. But because I'm a reader, I go in the library and I read all the pamphlets and all the bulletins. And one day I pick up this pamphlet and it says, "Oh, do your own TV show." So I picked it up and I'm like, how come I didn't know about this? I was born here, raised here, been here my whole life, been reading, I've read libraries. And yet, by reading, I found out about television. I found out about community television and then started to go volunteer in Brooklyn. So what you just said, though, just shows how important the sanctuary is, shows how important the magazine is, because you're bringing something to light that is not really fully known all over. It's something that should be known all over. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I wanted to say was the thing about the magazine that we're really, really proud of is that there's many things, but one of the things I think Myrna and I are really proud of is that we really focus on the positive parts of these stories. So, we try to concentrate on women that are making change, affecting change in their community, raising awareness about an issue that will help other women to live a better life. So we really try to keep things positive and empowering and inspiring, and we try to stay away from, it's easy to go down a rabbit hole of negativity, so we really try to stay on the other side of that.
And I like that, empowering and inspiring women through knowledge, purpose, and passion. And when you combine those three, that is a winning combination. Because, you can have knowledge about something and an organization can go down. You can have, you could do a little research, you could have a little purpose, but when you have knowledge, purpose, and passion at the same time, that's a winner. That's what I like about Sanctuary. I was just reading the brochure. It says Sanctuary's mission is to empower and inspire women toward a path of discovery through compelling and provocative stories, educational content, and inspirational works of art. And I see some of the art, which I cannot show on camera, or maybe I can. Let's see, what do I have, camera? No, I better not try that. Maybe for next time we'll show that. Maybe next time we can have you in here and say, oh, we have the exhibit at such and such.
Well, we're pretty easy to find, so.
I like that. So the art is music and dance, book excerpts, photography, song lyrics, and poetry. I'm just reading from this brochure, and it sounds pretty nice and inclusive.
Yeah, we try to include all of the arts because everybody has their thing that they appreciate most, and it's a little something for everybody. And we also like to try to give women artists a place where they can show what they do best in a space where they know that the reader is going to be truly interested in what they're doing.
I was wondering, I'm going to take that down now. I was wondering, that thought went right out of my head. I have too many questions. Okay, one question at a time. Okay, what I was wondering is, I was reading some of the stories, so I know what I liked. I know what caught my eye. I know what interested me. How long have you been doing the stories? Nancy, how long have you been interviewing people?
Yeah, well, as long as we've been around, so 2 years. You know, Myrna and I kind of hit the ground running 2 years ago and just started to network and meet different people. And if we heard a story that sort of piqued our interest, we would just ask, you know. And
so what is your most, I don't know if there is a most memorable story, or something that really reached you that stands above the rest? Is there such a story?
They're all...
Most unique or what?
Well, one of the most memorable for me was when I interviewed Deepak Chopra, Paul Avgerinos, and Kabir Sehgal, 3 remarkable men who did a CD and book of poetry called Home, which was about immigrants into the United States. So there were stories, vignettes, poem, and then soundtrack accompanying some of these poems about these immigrant stories, and I was really deeply touched by that.
So you said Deepak Chopra. I've heard of him, and I've read a couple of his books. What was the other name?
Paul Avgerinos, who's a Grammy Award-winning musician.
Now, how do you spell that?
Paul, and then Avgerinos.
Okay, I haven't heard him.
And then the third...
So he's an award-winning musician?
Yeah, Grammy Award-winning musician.
What kind of music?
New Age. He won in the New Age category.
And that's why I haven't heard of him.
Yeah, and he just does fantastic work. And then Kabir Sehgal, who's just he's a Renaissance man. He's a businessman, he's a financier, he's an author, he's just done everything. And these 3 men
Any
came
relation
together.
to Steven Seagal?
No.
I have heard of him.
No. So that was a really touching.
So how long was the interview with Deepak?
Well, I did it by email with Deepak.
Okay.
He's a busy man. But I sat for an hour or 2 with Paul and just really dug into the whole project and what the inspiration was behind it. And there was just one beautiful story after the other about people who come to our country and just become part of our world and, you know, dedicate their lives, you know, the military or helping others, philanthropy, whatever it is, and just beautiful stories.
I'm wondering, go ahead.
I was going to say, if I could say something to that, since it's already been a little touched upon, that was part of our Celebrating the Men in Our Lives issue. So one time a year in June, to go along with Father's Day, we celebrate male artists and men who are making a difference, you know, in the world, in their communities. And that's when Nancy had done this interview. And another one had been with Temple Grandin in April, because we had a focus on Autism Awareness Month. And for me, that was probably personally the most exciting interview for me. First of all, getting her, because she's the most well-known autistic person in the world, and then being able to just talk to her on the phone about you know, what we can do to help girls and young women who are on the spectrum to lead successful lives.
You know,
so again, it circled back to our mission, is what I wanted to say.
The story on Temple Grandin, I saw her name on your website somewhere, I forget where, and then I did a little research on her. And then I watched a few of her videos, and I'm like, okay, I don't agree with a lot of that. But yes, she, as far as the autism and as far as that kind of everything, the awareness and bringing the attention to that, and her genius, because I hear her speak, and considering everything she's done, I find that pretty genius. And I like that she can just be herself and, you know, throw everything to the wind, just be herself. The part I don't agree with, which is I'm not a vegetarian, but I know she's invented a whole new way to slaughter animals. Or, I don't know, did you see that video?
It's actually she actually invented a humane conveyor system.
Right. Right.
Because the way they were treating the cattle at the cattle farms, the cattle were screaming and falling off the conveyor belt and panicking. And this new system was made so that they are calmer in that system, you know.
Right. I know. I
So
just have
it's-
mixed feelings about the humane killing and killing humane. It's like, I guess,
it's a
yes, we're
controversial-
the country will.
Right,
yeah.
right. But
Yeah.
this was an industry that she's been part of, the animal husbandry industry, and she's very well known there as well. But she's most known for what she's done for the autism community. and
Yeah,
for
she
the
does have a
speaking
magnificent
engagements.
story.
She speaks all around the world. She has brought forth, she wrote a book,
What was the name of it?
Different, Not Less. And that's what her
Oh.
mom had always told her. You're different,
Different,
but you're
not
not
less.
less. And so I feel that that's a very powerful message for all girls, women and boys, but especially for the autism community because they often feel less. They're bullied a lot, you know, in the school systems. They get fired from jobs because they might not socialize just the way that other people expect them to socialize or communicate. And so that was the main message of the interview, was about what she's done for the autism community and what she feels the education system should be doing to help young girls and what to do when they first go out into the workforce and those kinds of questions. If
Yeah,
you
I know
read the
that is her
entire
main
interview.
message. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. I really appreciate her story. Do I have the name up right? You know, I've been putting the names on during the show, and did I get that right?
Mine was just up there, I think, Myrna Haskell.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
that's
So
correct. I wasn't looking
if you
at that.
see me
but-
make a mistake, just say
Okay.
something. Okay, so what else can I ask you? The one thing I didn't ask you is where are you based? Where are you located?
Well, we're based in, Myrna's in New York State, upstate New York, and Dutchess County, and I'm based in Connecticut, on the New York border.
So you
Danbury.
produce a magazine. It's a digital magazine right
Yes.
now, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts of making it a print magazine? Because I'd love to see that on print.
No.
Yes.
No?
No, but you know, it would be beautiful
It
in
would
print.
be.
You're right, because of the arts. But you
Yeah.
know, everything is going away from print. You know, I've written for
I
other
don't know.
magazines,
Uh-huh.
other consumer magazines, women's magazines,
Yeah.
parenting magazines for years, and I would say probably 40%
Mm-hmm.
of the regional print magazines that I used to write for have gone under or have gone all
Mm-hmm.
online, because that's where the youth is. That's where they get their information now, you know, on their phones.
No,
on
I
their
don't mean as
computers.
opposed to digital. I mean as
No,
as
we
a
understand
plus.
the question.
Yeah.
It's just that,
Yeah.
you know, it's a business, like, I
Mhm.
mean, you know, it's a heart-connected business, but
Mhm.
it is a business, and, you know, you have to look at, and if we wanted to try to expand, you know, it doesn't mean that we wouldn't consider collateral of other sorts, you know, if we did
Mhm.
some sort of, you know, events in the community, we could have, you know, brochures printed up with some of the artwork or something so that we could share it, but, you know, it's pretty heavy on the bottom line when you have the expense of a print.
So you
And
say
distribution.
you're based in Europe, but I hear your readers go like from 13 different countries
Yeah.
and 27
we're-
states. You've
Actually,
from
we're up
people?
to 16 countries now. Yeah, people
Wow.
that goes with all of those folks who have specifically written to us to join our mailing list and to receive our newsletter.
Yes.
Yeah, 16 different countries
Which
now.
is exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really exciting. Mostly
sounds
the
really
U.S. though.
Yeah.
You know, somewhere in the mid 90s to high 90 percentile from the United States, but we are seeing a lot of other countries sign up.
Mm-hmm.
And we've also featured artists. We featured an artist from Australia. We featured.
Tell us a little bit about the artist from Australia.
Oh, she does plein air painting, where she's out at the beach, Bluey's Beach, outside Sydney, Australia, and she paints there and does palette knife type painting, really thick sort of brush stroke, colorful painting. She's won a ton of awards, and her work is shown in galleries across Australia, but she's also well known throughout the world. She's done shows elsewhere besides in Australia. And you know, it's how do we find these people from all over, since we're talking about
Right.
artists? I mean, we've also interviewed people from England and all over.
Mhm.
But what's happened is once women connected and started reading our magazine, we started building this large network of folks who started giving us names. I interviewed somebody from the UN who told me about a dancer, and then that dancer actually told me about the youth dancer that we have in the issue this month. And so we find that the women who we've already featured, who have been really happy with what we've done for them and sharing their story, then go on and start sharing other topics and possibilities and ideas of other people to interview with us. So we're really not in a shortage of having folks to interview, for sure.
No, and I think I'd love to mention that we just this year started a new section called Money and Career, because we wanted to kind of balance, offer a little bit of balance on the other side of the brain. And we have, articles about money management, articles about, career possibilities and how to kind of identify career possibilities for yourself. Lots of different things. So we're really expanding our offerings of content, and I think it's going well. I think it's well received.
It's going really well. And Nancy actually has that section because she's written a wealth of articles in the financial industry, and she's really taken that section to good places, and people are writing to us about it, and it's doing really well.
It's a great thing because it's a topic that's intimidating to a lot of women, the topic of money and how to handle money. Do you invest money? Do you understand your own money? And so I think it's been a great addition.
I find it interesting. What I liked about what you talked about before, when you said you do during June, you do a feature, and that's for the men. I like that because your organization or your, I don't know what to call it, your organization, your magazine, how do you call it? So I say your organization?
Well, it's a publication, but we really want to take it, it's community.
Right. What I like about it is I've seen other women's things, like I've done a lot of research, like one of my videos was interviewing Susan Brown Miller. She's one of the main women's libbers, civil rights of the 60s, way back when. She's written so many books and all. But when I look at women's libbers, the one thing that lacks for me in the female thing is a lot of them, they don't include the men. A lot of them,
Right.
They're like, I've seen some things online where like they hate men. And like we all have men, we all have fathers, we all have brothers, we all have uncles. They're part of our families.
Yes, no.
So whatever women's organization we have, I think it's fabulous and fantastic that finally you've got a publication that includes the men. It's a publication for women, by women, about women, but we're including the men in a good, positive way, and I like that. I think that's kind of cool.
Then we've met our mission.
That's
We've been successful in our mission then.
If I could say one other thing that
You
I think
could
sets us apart.
Yes, go.
Because we're talking about including the men and the different issues that we have with the different themes. Another piece to this is an interactive piece to our publication. So we have this section called Guest Room where readers write in to inspirational questions. They share their own stories with us. They've sent in photography. We have a brand new little piece to that called Ask an Expert, where we get a different expert each month, and we have a topic for readers to write in on. So, for instance, tax month in April, we had a financial expert who answered questions about taxes or personal finance. For May, we had an expert on, the birthing process. For the upcoming topic for September is back to school concerns for parents sending their children off to college for the first time, topics such as that.
Yeah, and readers can ask.
And they ask, and their personal questions are actually answered, and that's all under this interactive guest room section that we have.
Okay, so a question about your guest room. I was looking at that. It was kind of interesting. So the questions I have as a reader or viewer is, so I go to guest room, and you have like every month it's a different expert featured, right? Mm-hmm. So when I post a question or I click on and put my little question in guest room, is that question public and is my name made public, or is that anonymous, or how do you do that?
It's up to the reader. We have a small little question mark section that tells them they can include their first name and their state. They can be anonymous if they'd like, or they can include their full name. And readers have done all three. So we leave it up to them.
How do the experts answer that? You just forward the question to them, or they're right there at the site answering?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, we forward the questions to them and they respond.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds really good. So what do you see in the future? You have September coming up. You've got August, September.
We, this is such an iterative process, and it's been a growth from the first day we started this. So we just, Myrna and I live in different states, and we don't get together face to face very much. We don't even talk on the phone that much. We do a lot of our work, digitally, and we just try to see where opportunities arise, what sort of networking things we each do, and what arises out of that. And we are always talking to each other, emailing back and forth about who we've met or if this would be a good theme. And it's just growth and expansion slowly. So I think it's just going to unfold, right?
I agree. And we're pretty lockstep in our message and our voice and the content, and that's what's been so exciting about this, I think, for both of us.
Yeah.
I don't want to totally speak for you, but I know for me, I've been working for a lot of other publications for a long time, and this is mine and Nancy's baby, and we're in control of the voice, where it's going, what changes we want to make, and all of that. And that's an empowering thing.
Yeah.
For us. We're empowering other women too, but that's empowering for us. So.
That sounds good. So what about a preview that's not yet in the magazine? Can you give us a preview or a sneak preview of something?
Yes.
Anything, a hint?
Yes.
What?
I just had because we were talking about interviews that touched us.
Right.
I just interviewed the founders of Safe and Sound Schools, two mothers who lost their children in the Sandy Hook shooting.
Oh.
And it was such a touching interview in such a surprising way. It was so uplifting, and I can't wait to write it up, and I can't wait to have our readers share that story.
So what did you say the name of it was? Safe and
Sound Schools. Yes.
Safe and Sound Schools.
Mm-hmm. They started it 6 months after the shooting together, and they've made a big difference.
The Sandy Hook really kind of affected me. I'd been there probably 5 times to Newtown, Connecticut.
Well, I lived there for 8 years in Sandy Hook.
It's a beautiful, it's always been a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful town.
It is.
So I went there probably about 3 or 4 days after the tragedy, and the output of the people, of the caring, it was unbelievable. This is like 4 days later, and everything just kept arriving from all over, probably all over the world, from the different cities, going to the church, going to the school. I was at the memorial. I did do a show on that, that showed the memorial and showed some of the people.
Well,
there.
in the interview, I really, I made it a point not to talk about the shooting and and the story. That's, I think, why it's so powerful, because these women really tried to affect positive change out of just a horrifying, unthinkable tragedy. So I'm really looking forward to our readers seeing that story.
And so that will be in which month?
Which month, Myrna?
December.
September.
September. September.
That calendar is full of my head. Sometimes it takes a moment.
Hey, you're on the ball there. We had about a minute and 53 seconds, so maybe you can say whatever you'd like to say in that few minutes.
Well, thank you so much for having us today. This has been a really great experience, just meeting you. And we don't get to sit down together too much, so it's a treat, and just to share our story and what inspires us. So we're really, really grateful for that. Thank you.
And hopefully people see, how excited we are about the publication and forming this community of readers who know what we're doing, are inspired by what we're doing, and want to come back. So they just need to find Sanctuary Magazine.
That sounds good. They can Google that and find Sanctuary Magazine. They can also write to the show, because we're on every Saturday at 12:30 in the afternoon, and it's on channel 34. It's also on Verizon and Spectrum. I've heard Spectrum is going to change names eventually, but we're here. Communities. It's on actually CTV, and we'll show, and hopefully, probably will show in different parts of the state in the future. And 50 seconds, so what can I say? I'll have to put the disclaimer on already. I'm really glad you guys came all that way, because you have magnificent stories about magnificent people, and I like the way you're doing it. It's absolutely almost perfect.
Well, thank you.
And I say almost because, like nothing's perfect, but almost perfect is
We're
pretty
working on
good. And we have 27 seconds. Say something, so we'll go off, and that will be the end of the show, but not forever, just for today.
Well, we hope that readers write to us and tell us where their sanctuary is. We ask everyone we interview, where's your sanctuary?
Yeah, it could be anything.
well,
Well,
hey,
yes.
that was good. You want to know something? This is my sanctuary at the TV studio.
Okay.
Seriously, no kidding. No, I have my home, which is a beautiful sanctuary, but for a sanctuary